The night he left, I didn't cry, at least not right away. I laughed. It wasn't the kind of laugh that came from something funny, but the kind that breaks in the middle, trembling in your throat like glass about to shatter. Maybe it was because if I didn't laugh, I'd start screaming. And if I started screaming, I wasn't sure I'd ever stop. Ethan's coat was already buttoned, his duffel bag slung carelessly over one shoulder, as if the years we'd spent together weighed less than a change of clothes. The street outside our apartment was slick with rain, and every drop seemed to echo in my ears. "You know I have to do this," he said, eyes avoiding mine, gaze fixed somewhere over my shoulder, somewhere safer than my face. "Have to?" I scoffed, forcing my voice to stay steady. "You mean want to? You want to go find him?" I didn't say his name. Couldn't. That ghost had lived between us for years, silent but suffocating. Ethan's first love. The one who'd left him, broken him, shaped the man I met, and apparently the man I was losing now. I had given up everything for Ethan. My family, who never forgave me for moving in with him. My job in Chicago, the career that once defined me. Friends who drifted away because I was always busy building a life with him. And yet, here we were, standing in the ruins of that life, and he was walking away without even looking back. I don't remember closing the door. I do remember the silence afterward, the kind that swallows you whole. It wasn't just quiet, it was absence. The absence of his voice, his laugh, the sound of him humming in the kitchen on Sunday mornings. For weeks, I moved through my days like someone had drained the color from them. Work, home, sleep, repeat. New York is a strange city to feel invisible in millions of people around you. And yet, not one sees you. Then, one Tuesday night, it happened. I was sitting at a small coffee shop on East 10th Street, nursing a lukewarm latte I didn't even want, when a stranger asked if he could take the empty chair at my table. He was tall, with dark, almost black eyes that seemed to see right through me. His name was Lucas. "You look like someone who's thinking about leaving," he said without introduction, sliding into the chair before I could answer. I wanted to tell him to mind his own business, but something in his voice, calm, sure, and a little bit amused, made me stay. "Someone already left," I said instead. He studied me for a moment, like he was deciding whether to push or leave it alone. Then he smiled, not the kind of smile that promises anything, but the kind that says, "I get it." We started meeting at the coffee shop. Not planned at first, then maybe a little planned. Lucas wasn't like Ethan. He didn't fill silences with words. He let them exist, comfortable and unafraid. Sometimes we talk about nothing: movies, music, why New York pizza was better than Chicago deep dish. I still disagree. Other times, I'd find myself telling him things I hadn't said out loud before. One rainy Thursday, we stayed until the cafe closed. When we stepped outside, the street was empty, the air cool and damp. He walked me home, and somewhere between the corner store and my building, our hands brushed. Just a second of contact, but it was enough to make my chest ache in a way I hadn't felt in months. Inside my apartment, the shadows still whispered Ethan's name. But when I thought about Lucas, the whispers grew quieter. It wasn't easy. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about Ethan every day. Some nights, I'd wake up convinced I'd heard his key in the lock. Some mornings, I'd find myself making coffee for two before remembering there was only me. But Lucas was patient. He never asked me to forget, never demanded more than I could give. He just stayed. The turning point came in early spring. We were sitting on my fire escape, watching the city lights flicker against the dark. I told him the whole story: Ethan, the sacrifices, the night he left. I expected pity, or worse, judgment. Instead, Lucas just said, "You didn't lose yourself, you gave yourself. There's a difference. And you can give again when you're ready." It was the first time I believed I might be ready someday. Weeks turned into months. My apartment started to feel like mine again. The silence was no longer empty. It was peaceful. One evening, Lucas and I were in the kitchen, cooking pasta that was already overcooked because we'd been too busy talking. He reached for a jar of sauce at the same time I did, and somehow our hands ended up clasped instead. We both froze, but neither of us pulled away. "I'm not him," Lucas said quietly. "I know." I whispered. The thing was, I wasn't the same person either. I wasn't the man who had given up everything for someone who couldn't stay. I was someone who'd learned that love doesn't always mean sacrifice, it can mean building something together. The first time we kissed, it wasn't fireworks. It was softer, slower, like opening a window after a long winter and letting the air in. And maybe that was exactly what I needed. Ethan never came back. I don't know if he found what he was looking for. But I do know this. I found something I didn't think I'd have again. And one night, as Lucas and I lay on the couch, his head resting on my chest, I realized something. My heart hadn't just healed, it had grown. Because sometimes the best kind of love isn't the one you give up everything for. It's the one that makes you want to keep everything you are and share it. Summer came quietly that year, slipping into the city with long evenings and the smell of rain on warm pavement. By then, Lucas was no longer just the man I met at a coffee shop, was the steady pulse in my life, the voice I looked for in the crowd, the warmth I came home to. One Saturday, we took the train out to Coney Island. The beach was crowded, but somehow it felt like we had it to ourselves. Lucas bought us 2 melting ice creams, and we walked along the shoreline, the waves curling around our feet. At one point, he stopped, turned to me and said, "You know, the first day I saw you, I didn't think you were ready, but I stayed because I hoped you would be." I didn't answer right away. Instead, I looked at him, really looked at him. The way the sunlight caught in his hair, the small creases by his eyes when he smiled, the way his hand brushed against mine like it belonged there. "I am ready," I finally said, and it was the truth. He smiled, not the guarded smile I'd seen before, but one that broke wide open, letting everything inside spill out. And then, right there with the sound of the ocean and the shouts of kids playing in the distance, he kissed me. It wasn't about replacing what I'd lost. It was about building something new, something that didn't erase the past but didn't let it control the future either. As the sun began to set, Lucas laced his fingers through mine, and we walked back toward the boardwalk. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't wondering if my heart could love again. I knew it could. I knew it already did. And maybe that's what love is, isn't it? The grand gestures. Not the sacrifices that drain you dry, but the quiet, everyday choice to stay. With him, I chose to stay. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.